Everybody wants to scale. They want six figures. They want visibility, influence, brand deals, clients, and most of all, freedom. But there's a dangerous problem growing in entrepreneurship. People are teaching what they've never built, coaching what they've never sustained, leading from borrowed language instead of lived experience. And desperate entrepreneurs are paying the full price. Some people are buying courses from individuals drowning in debt, hiring business coaches with no business systems, taking leadership advice from people who have never led anyone, paying branding experts whose own brand is unstable. And the scary part, sometimes the people doing it is simply unprepared but overconfident. Today, we're talking about scammers, false expertise, desperation culture, and the danger of pretending to be someone you are not. Because entrepreneurship is not just about making money, it is also about integrity.
You're listening to the Off Balance Podcast, where faith, family, and business collide. Hosted by Brooks Deming, Doctor of Business Administration, business coach, and resilience expert. Each episode features real-life conversations to help entrepreneurs like you build resilience and lead with confidence.
Welcome back to Off Balance. I'm your host, Dr. Brooks. And this is the space where we talk about leadership, business, resilience, and the realities that people don't always say out loud. Today's conversation may be uncomfortable for some people, but it's necessary because there are entrepreneurs losing thousands of dollars trying to shortcut success. And there are also individuals damaging people because they stepped into rooms they did not have the capacity to lead. This episode is not about attacking people, it's about discernment, it's about responsibility, and it's about protecting both entrepreneurs and the integrity of business spaces. So let's talk about it. One of the biggest shifts in modern entrepreneurship is that visibility gets confused with credibility. If someone has followers, people assume that they have expertise. If someone speaks confidently, people assume they have wisdom. If someone has luxury branding, people assume they have results. But presentation is not proof. A polished Instagram page is not the same thing as operational excellence, the same as a viral TikTok is not the same as leadership competency, and a Canva graphic is not the same thing as a business strategy. And unfortunately, many eager entrepreneurs are shopping emotionally instead of strategically. They are tired, many are overwhelmed, some are financially stressed, and they are desperate for a breakthrough. And desperation changes discernment. And what happens is people become emotionally desperate. They stop asking important questions like, what are the person's qualifications? What actually results have they sustained? Can they explain the process, not just outcomes? Do they have depth or just motivational language? Are they teaching from experience or imitation? Desperation makes people vulnerable to manipulation. One of the most dangerous lies online is the idea that you can bypass development. Everyone wants acceleration. Nobody wants apprenticeship. People want to coach before they've served. They want to teach before they've learned anything. They want to lead before they've developed emotionally. And what happens is people build businesses bigger than their character can sustain. And that's a dangerous thing because eventually the gap between image and capacity becomes visible. You can fake confidence for a season. You can fake luxury for a season. You can fake authority. But eventually, incompetence gets exposed through pressure. Pressure exposes what preparation concealed. And I think many entrepreneurs are not failing because they lack potential. They're failing because they were taught by people who themselves lack structure, wisdom, and depth. I just think we need to normalize asking questions before investing. If someone calls themselves a leadership coach, ask about their leadership experience. If someone teaches business systems, ask what systems they have personally implemented. If someone teaches scaling, ask whether their business is sustainable. And hear me clearly. Someone does not need to have a doctorate to provide value. Formal education is not the only pathway to wisdom, but expertise should still be rooted in something real, whether that's experience, results, study, training, research, proven execution, consistency over time, not just charisma. We have entered an era where people know how to market success better than they know how to sustain it, and entrepreneurs must become more discerning consumers. Now, let's flip this conversation because it's easy to criticize scammers while slowly becoming one ourselves. This part requires honesty. Some people are presenting themselves as experts because they feel pressure to look successful online. Some are afraid that honesty will make them look small, so they exaggerate. They exaggerate revenue, client success, experience, credentials, impact, and capacity. But integrity matters. If you are still learning, say that. If you are growing, say that. If you are in the beginning stages, there is no shame in that. The danger begins when people start building brands on deception because eventually you become trapped inside an image you created. And now you constantly perform instead of authentically serving. And that is going to become very exhausting. I think social media has made people ashamed of process. People feel behind if they are not scaling rapidly. People feel unsuccessful if they are not making six figures immediately. But sustainable businesses are usually built slowly. Real leadership takes time, expertise takes time, credibility takes time. And honestly, there is dignity in development and there's dignity in learning and in saying, I'm not ready for that yet. That statement is not weakness, it's wisdom. Some people would save themselves lawsuit, public embarrassment, failed businesses, and damaged reputations if they simply respected timing. From an HR and organizational perspective, competency matters. Organizations suffer when people are placed into roles that they are not equipped to handle. That applies in entrepreneurship too. When individuals operate outside of their competency, clients lose money, teams become unstable, trust can get damaged, and industries lose credibility. That's why organizations emphasize training, development, accountability, mentorship, and competency validation. From a coaching perspective, I believe many entrepreneurs are not looking for shortcuts. I think many are looking for certainty. They want reassurance that success is possible, and scammers know how to sell certainty. They promise overnight success, effortless scaling, instant monetization, passive income with no structure, visibility without development. But real growth usually looks less glamorous. It looks like consistency, discipline, failed experiments, refinement, patience, and learning over time. And that may not go viral, but it's real. So if you are an entrepreneur listening today, I want you to remember, do not let desperation make decisions for you. Slow down, research people, ask questions, study before investing, and more importantly, don't sacrifice integrity just to appear successful because success built on deception eventually collapses under the weight of the truth. You do not have to pretend to be something that you're not. You are allowed to grow, learn, and develop honestly. And in the long run, authenticity and competence will outlast performance and illusion every single time. Thank you for listening to Off Balance. If this episode challenged you, share it with another entrepreneur, leader, or creator who needs this conversation. And if you are trying to build with structure, clarity, and integrity instead of hype and shortcuts, you can connect with me at my official website, brooksdeming.com. Until next time, keep building with wisdom and not just ambition.
Thanks for listening. Please rate this episode and share it with your family and friends. To learn more about your host or to book a coaching session, visit www.brooksdeming.com. Until next time, rise.